Hey there, sleepyheads. Ever feel like you're stuck in a dream? Like someone's feeding you thoughts and you're just gobbling them up? Yeah, that's not a dream, kiddo. That's brainwashing. And guess what? We're all victims. I know. You're thinking, brainwashing? That's some sci-fi tinfoil hat stuff. But hold your horses, Captain Conspiracy. We're not talking alien mind control here. This is real-life sneaky-beaky stuff. It's about how the media, the internet, even your dear Aunt Karen on Facebook can mess with your mind without you even knowing it. Don't worry though, by the end of this video, you'll be a brainwash-busting ninja. Think of your brain like a super-duper computer. It's amazing, powerful, and can store more cat videos than the entire internet. But it's also got some vulnerabilities. Like, remember that time you bought those jeans just because your favorite influencer said they were totes adorbs? Yeah, that wasn't your best moment. But hey, it happens. We're bombarded with messages every single day telling us what to buy, what to think, even who to vote for. It's enough to make your head spin faster than a disco ball. That's why we're diving deep into the world of brainwashing. We're gonna expose the tricks, the tactics, and the straight-up lies that are messing with our minds. And the best part? We're gonna learn how to fight back. Yo, history buffs! Think brainwashing is a new thing? Police! It's older than your grandma's secret cookie recipe. We're talking way back, like ancient civilizations back. They didn't have fancy smartphones or Twitter wars, but they knew how to work a crowd. Emperors and pharaohs were like, hey, I'm the chosen one. Look at this fancy hat and these awesome pyramids I made you build. And guess what? It worked! People ate it up like free bread at a gladiator fight. Why? Because back then, information was scarce. If the big guy with the scepter said something, you better believe it or you might end up lion chow. Fast forward a few centuries and bam! The printing press is invented. Now everyone's a critic, spreading rumors faster than a chariot race. Governments were like, hold up, we need to control this narrative. And thus, propaganda was born. Think of it as brainwashing's sassy, politically charged cousin. The 20th century was like the Super Bowl of brainwashing. We're talking world wars, Cold War paranoia, and enough propaganda to make your head spin faster than a propaganda minister after a 3-martini lunch. First up, we had those iconic propaganda posters. You know the ones. Uncle Sam pointing his finger at you, Rosie the Riveter flexing her bicep. They were everywhere, telling people what to do, what to think, and what brand of cigarettes to smoke. Seriously, they used to advertise cigarettes on those things. Then came the radio. Suddenly, this soothing voice was in everyone's living room, whispering sweet propaganda into their ears. It was like ASMR for the masses, but instead of helping you relax, it was telling you to hate your neighbors or buy war bonds. But wait, there's more. Television burst onto the scene, bringing moving pictures and even more effective ways to mess with your mind. It was like the internet before the internet, but with less cat videos and more commercials for jingles you couldn't get out of your head. Fast forward to today, and things have gotten a whole lot trickier. Remember how your grandma used to complain about too many TV channels? Now we have the entire internet at our fingertips, and let's be real. It's a wild, wild west of information and misinformation. We're drowning in a sea of clickbait headlines, fake news articles, and influencers trying to sell us everything from tummy tea to cryptocurrency. It's enough to make you want to throw your phone in a blender and move to a remote island with no Wi-Fi. But before you book that one-way ticket to nowhere, let's take a deep breath and remember, knowledge is power. By understanding how modern brainwashing works, we can learn to spot the signs, call out the BS, and take back control of our own minds. Okay, picture this. You're scrolling through your favorite newsfeed, just minding your own business, when BAM! You're hit with a headline so shocking, so outrageous, that you can't help but click. Congratulations, you've just been clickbaited. It's like those cheesy infomercials that promise you'll get ripped abs just by drinking their magic smoothie. You know it's probably BS, but a tiny part of you is like, what if it's true? And that's exactly what media manipulators are banking on. Our curiosity, our fears, and our desire for a good story. They use sensationalized headlines, biased reporting, and even outright lies to shape our perception of the world. It's like they're playing a giant game of telephone with our brains, whispering misinformation and watching it spread like wildfire. And the worst part? Sometimes we don't even realize we're being played. Social media, the land of perfectly filtered selfies, inspirational quotes, and endless arguments about, well, everything. It's a place where everyone has a voice, which is awesome. But it's also a breeding ground for brainwashing. And here's why. Remember that whole information overload thing we talked about earlier? Yeah, it's even worse on social media. We're bombarded with opinions, facts, and hot takes from people we barely know. And let's be real, some people we wish we didn't know. It's like being stuck in a room full of people screaming their opinions at you, except instead of people, it's glowing rectangles in your hand. And the algorithms? Don't even get me started on those sneaky little devils. They're like, oh, you liked that one conspiracy theory video? Here are 50 more just like it. Before you know it, you're down the rabbit hole, convinced the earth is flat and lizard people run the government. Okay, maybe not that extreme, but you get the idea. Section 3. Advertising overload. Buy this, you need it. No, you don't. Last but not least, let's talk about the OG brainwashers advertisers. These guys have been trying to get into our heads and our wallets since the dawn of time. But these days, they've gotten really good at it, like scarily good. Forget those cheesy jingles and flashing neon signs. We're talking targeted ads that follow you around the internet like a lost puppy. You know what I'm talking about? You search for a new pair of shoes online, and suddenly, every website you visit is bombarded with shoe ads. It's like they're reading your mind. And then there's influencer marketing, which is basically just a fancy word for people getting paid to tell you what to buy. Don't get me wrong, some influencers are great, but it's important to remember that they're not your friend. They're salespeople in disguise. They're masters at making you feel like you their product to be happy, cool, or popular. But here's a little secret, you don't. The key is to be mindful of the messages you're consuming and ask yourself, am I buying this because I actually want it, or am I being influenced by something or someone else? Section 1. Politicians and their bag of tricks. It's all smoke and mirrors, baby. All right, let's talk politics. Don't worry, we're not going to get into any heated debates about donkeys versus elephants. We're here to talk about how politicians on both sides of the aisle use brainwashing techniques to win your vote. Think of it like a magic show. They wave their hands, spout some fancy words, and bam! You're convinced they're the answer to all your problems. But just like those disappearing acts, it's all an illusion. One of their favorite tricks? Repetition, repetition, repetition. They repeat the same slogans, the same promises over and over again until they're stuck in your head like that annoying jingle from that car commercial you hate. And don't even get me started on the fear-mongering. They love to tell you how scary the world is and how only can save you from the big bad wolves at the door. It's enough to make you want to hide under your bed with a year's supply of ramen noodles. But remember, fear sells. And when you're scared, you're more likely to make irrational decisions, like voting for someone who promises to build a wall around the entire country. Section 2. The cult of consumerism gotta catch 'em all, the products that is. Okay, let's be real for a minute. We live in a world obsessed with stuff. We're constantly bombarded with messages telling us we need the newest phone, the coolest clothes, and the shiniest car to be happy. It's like we've all become members of the cult of consumerism, worshiping at the altar of Amazon Prime and sacrificing our hard-earned cash for things we don't even need. And the worst part? We've been brainwashed into thinking this is normal. Think about it. From the moment we're born, we're targeted by advertisers. They show us happy families enjoying their sugary cereals, cool kids wearing the latest fashion trends, and celebrities driving luxury cars. And guess what? It works. We start associating these products with happiness, success, and belonging. We think that if we just buy that one thing, we'll finally be complete. But the truth is, true happiness doesn't come from a shopping spree. It comes from experiences, relationships, and finding joy in the little things. So the next time you're tempted to buy something you don't need, take a step back and ask yourself, am I being influenced by the cult of consumerism? The Fear Factory, why we're all freaking out and who's profiting from it? Politicians use fear to their advantage, and they're not the only ones cashing in. News outlets and social media algorithms keep us on edge. How often do news stories make you feel like the world is ending? A new virus spreading like wildfire? It's enough to make you want to build a bunker. And social media? Don't even get me started. Algorithms show you content to keep you glued to your screen. Fear is addictive. But the world is not as scary as it seems. Statistically, we live in the safest, most prosperous time, but that doesn't sell newspapers or generate clicks. So take a deep breath, step away from the screens, and focus on the good things in your life. There's still a lot of beauty, kindness, and hope in the world. Mind meltdown, when brainwashing goes wrong. What happens when brainwashing goes too far? Marinating in misinformation leads to decision fatigue. Buckle up, Buttercup, because it ain't pretty. Simple choices become monumental tasks. Constant negative news fuels anxiety and depression. Paranoia and distrust take over. It's a recipe for social isolation and loneliness. Society's going down. The rabbit hole. The big picture of brainwashing. What happens when a whole society starts sipping the Kool-Aid of misinformation and manipulation? Hint, it ain't the recipe for a happy, healthy democracy. Polarization and division. Echo chambers create a breeding ground for extremism and intolerance. It's like a giant game of tug-of-war with no one willing to meet in the middle. And what happens when no one can agree on anything? Gridlock, baby. Erosion of trust creates a vacuum filled by demagogues and authoritarians. A house divided against itself cannot stand, and the stakes are way higher than who gets to control the TV remote. Unplug and tune in, reclaiming your mind from the matrix. Whew, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From ancient emperors to social media algorithms, we've exposed the sneaky ways brainwashing infiltrates our lives. But don't go building that tinfoil hat just yet. The good news is, now that you're aware of the problem, you can start fighting back. First things first, unplug, baby. Step away from the screens, take a break from social media, and give your brain a much-needed detox. It's like hitting the reset button on your mental hard drive. Go for a walk in nature, read a book, a real one with pages, have a conversation with a real-life human being. Remember, you are not a product to be manipulated, and your attention is valuable. Don't give it away to anyone who doesn't deserve it. Be mindful of the content you consume, the people you follow, and the information you choose to believe. Think of your brain like a beautiful garden. Brainwashing is like weeds, constantly trying to take root and choke out the good stuff. But with a little bit of effort, you can cultivate a healthy, resilient mind that's resistant to manipulation. Stay vigilant, my friends. The future of brainwashing and how to fight back. Here's the thing about brainwashing. It's constantly evolving. As technology advances, so do the methods of manipulation. But don't despair. By staying informed and thinking critically, we can stay one step ahead of the brainwashers. Think about it. We're already seeing the rise of deepfakes, personalized advertising algorithms, and virtual influencers that look and sound eerily real. It's enough to make you question reality itself. But instead of freaking out, let's get proactive. Education is key. The more we understand about how these technologies work, the better equipped we'll be to spot the signs of manipulation. We need to teach critical thinking skills in schools, encourage media literacy, and have open conversations about the dangers of misinformation. And remember, we're all in this together. Talk to your friends, family, and that weird neighbor who always wears a tinfoil hat. Hey, maybe they're onto something. The more we share information and support each other, the stronger we'll be in the face of manipulation. So stay curious, stay skeptical, and most importantly, stay vigilant, my friends. The future of our minds depends on it.